So that's when I thought, why don't they make shoes for hands? And that's how I lost $50,000.
Are you talking about Shans? Are you talking about the products? Shans?
That's an actual thing? Someone already beat me to the market?
Yeah.
Shans?
Yeah.
They called it Shans and they're successful?
Yes.
And I lost $50,000?
Why did you lose 50 grand on it?
No one wanted to buy shoes for hands.
Oh, I'm sorry. Clearly your marketing was poor.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's the bit where, you know, we make out like it's not that, not now, Elaine. Save it for later. I meant we make out like, you know, we're doing a bit that's not about board games,
right,
in a podcast that is about, and the audience is listening and they're like, what is this about? Why aren't they talking about board games? And we're like, see, it's a clever cold open conceit.
You mean like, is that all you do, bird imitations?
Yes.
That kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we doing more MASH style jokes or are we just continuing the podcast?
I could squeeze the cup again, like in the last episode.
We don't.
Wait, I'm trying to. Do you know what? I realized that it's not squeezing if I lift up the cup holder. It's not making this. It's just making this.
We don't need a sequel to your cup squeezing adventure, thank you.
But I want it to squelch.
No one wants it to squelch. Are you done? Can we talk about board games now?
Okay, if we have to.
Welcome to the Talk Cardboard podcast, podcast about board games and everything adjacent with me, Elaine, and you,
Efka.
Shans. That's not product placement, by the way. This is not a podcast that does product placement.
No, so, okay, like dropping the pretense.
Yeah.
Is there really a Shans?
No, of course there's not. Well, I mean, maybe there is, but no, no.
Oh,
I just said that because she was saying something stupid, so I said something stupid.
That was quick.
Well, no, it's just shoe and hands, isn't it, really? It's just two words. Anyway, God, I thought we were talking about board games. And so did everyone else. We have another 3 games on this episode today.
Get out. I do not believe you.
We have Panda Spin.
Okay.
Which is a game about pandas.
And spinning.
Primates, which is a game about primates. And the third game we have...
Is an animal game?
No, it's not. It's Tycoon India 1981. Not about animal. It doesn't have a single animal in it.
We could have had 3 animal games.
I know, we didn't think this through.
Okay, I'm writing a letter of complaint to the podcast.
Okay. I'll just
What's the email?
Elaine@nopuncluded.com.
Good, now I know. So now I know where to write the letter of complaint.
I'm sure it won't be the only complaint we get this week. Okay, so let's talk about Panda Spin.
It's that time of year again when we once again talk about trick-taking games.
Oh.
This one's a climber shedder. And before someone writes in and says, a climbing shedding game is not technically a trick-taking game. Yes, it is.
Wow.
Yes, it is. It is in the uber genre of trick-taking games, which encompasses trick-taking and also climbing and shedding.
I feel like you just revealed the 2 sides of your personality then. Like, I feel like both of those were you.
It sounded a bit like me, didn't it?
It sounded like something you would say.
Like when I'm not being Efka from No Pun Included, you know, when I'm at home. I just pretty much talk like this. Really annoyed and nasally.
But we work from home, so you're always Efka at home.
I guess so, yeah. But yeah, you're right. That's me. That's exactly what I sound like in my private life.
Can you tell us a bit more about the game?
Yeah. So this is a climbing shedding game. So if you've ever played games like Tichu or Big Two or what's another one? Haggis, 535, Scout, right? There's
loads of them.
There's loads of them, right? This is one like that, where you are trying to play sequences and keep playing sequences like in a higher kind of value than a previous player until you can, you're the only person who can play a sequence.
And it's the kind of, is it the blackjack? No, what's the rule called where you have certain types of cards that you can play? Because that's the same in a lot of trick takers, like sets or
runs. Yeah.
But that's from a bigger game like blackjack or no,
it isn't.
No,
it's just
from trick takers.
Yeah, it's just climbing shedding.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, climbing shedding games are older than any of the games you just mentioned.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Okay, so you're trying to. So, for example, let's say in your hand you have a 1, 2, and 3. You can play this 1, 2, 3, right? And that's you play the sequence effectively, which means the next player has to play a 2, 3, 4 or a 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it has to be the same number of cards, but the same type of cards as well. So, for example, even though someone could play 2, 2, 2, that's like a run. Mm-hmm. Is that a run?
Set.
That's a set. Yeah. Run is the other one, right?
Is the other one.
Yeah. So that's a set. You can play a set 2, 2, 2. But if someone already started the trick effectively, if someone played 2, 2, 2, the next person can then only play 4, 4, 4 or 6, 6, 6 or whatever, right? So the first player who leads, they dictate what type of card sequences we can play. Right. And then everyone has to play a higher sequence or pass. Obviously, you don't want to pass because it's a shedding game. Clues in the name. You want to shed out. You want to get rid of your hand as fast as possible. So that's basically the premise. And most of these games follow this premise. So Panda Spin is designed by Carl Chudik, who is known for games like Glory to Rome, Innovation, Red 7, I believe. And this is a little bit different, but it does have that Carl Chudik spin, because if you've played any of the games I've mentioned previously, you will know that there's some wild design ideas in those where just kooky, crazy things happen, right? And there's a little bit of that here where every card is double-sided. So you start with the basic side always in your hand. So that's the white side, and then there's the blue side on the other side. So you spin the cards, right?
It's not flipping. It's not on the other side like the back. It's turning it round.
Yeah. It's top and bottom, right? They're different values. So, for example, if one card is an 8 on the top, on the bottom, it could be queen, right? Something like that, right? So that one card, if you manage to spin it, it becomes like 2 cards. And that's cool, right? I know. And so how do you spin these cards? Well, you spin these cards by playing them to a trick, and all these cards have to be on their wide side, and you have to basically not win the trick effectively. Whoever wins the trick just gets to shed out their cards. Anything that they played, that's gone from their hand. But if you didn't get to shed out, you get to pick your cards back up and then spin them. And so they become better, effectively. And then there's also cards that have various abilities. You could sometimes get cards that are just, bombs, meaning you can play them to anything, any trick, doesn't even matter. But then and you automatically win the trick as well, but there's a downside to it. For example, you might have to draw a couple of cards. And you can only play these cards if you've achieved certain situations. For example, you have 7 or less cards left in your hand. And then there's also sets that are bombs. So anytime you play 4 of a kind, so 4 queens, for example, it doesn't matter. You can play them to any kind of sequence. It's just a bomb. It beats anything. And so that's kind of the game. Now, a couple of things about Panda Spin that I found a little bit strange. I liked it a lot in concept, right? But unlike other climbing shedding games that I really like Haggis or Scout or Spring Cleaning, designed by a friend, John Cox.
Nice name drop there.
I mean, it's not a name drop. It's just,
not product placement.
Yeah, it's product placing our friend John's game and then saying not product placement. That's how it works, basically. Anyway, unlike any of those, I found myself in these moments in this game where I just can't do anything. And it was very, very strange because it creates this sort of situation where people are playing stuff to tricks and you can't play anything to these tricks. And then someone wins or loses that trick, but you've not contributed. And then they start another trick and they play another type of sequence that you can't contribute to. And then you can't do anything. The way Tichu solves this is and Big Two as well, is by being a team game. You're trying to gauge what your partner has and play in a way so that you can help them shed out, right? So that's interesting. Scout makes it so that it's very hard to make sets because you can't change the order of cards in your hand. So that's a funky...
And also in Spring Clean, you can't change the order.
Right, yeah. And in Spring Cleaning is so freewheeling. It just feels like you can play cards in so many different situations, right? You never, I can't play cards. I found myself in this game constantly not being able to play cards. Not even win tricks. I mean, not play cards at all. So I wasn't able to partake, not in just trying to win the game, but also just flipping these cards, doing the thing that the game is known for doing. Now, that sounds like a pretty harsh criticism, and I will give the game that eventually it creates game states where it's like everyone's sort of played out, but they're now on their bad hands, and so you can kind of
which is what happened to me quite a lot because, sorry to interrupt.
No, yeah, please.
In that kind of game where I've played before, I play fairly aggressively. I want to try and get rid of my hand as quickly as possible. And I know that is the goal of the game is to get rid of your cards as quickly as possible. But there are times when you purposely choose not to play cards that you play the highest cards that you could, for example, because you want to keep those cards for the future because they might be more useful then. There's different ways of playing this game, and I tend to be quite aggressive and be like, okay, no, just boom, boom, boom. And I ended up with 2 cards in my hand, I think. And you had all your cards.
I've not played a single card in the entire game.
You've not managed to do any. And then I lost that game because, I ended up with 2 cards at the end.
Sure. And I mean, that's all good. I'm not saying the game isn't poorly weighted or, it's just... I didn't find that process interesting, just sitting there and watching everyone.
I mean, don't you find that in other games that aren't team games that are where you're trying to shed out? There are definitely rounds of haggis where I've just watched you play a card and then I can't play anything and play 2 more cards. I can't play anything, play 2 more cards. I can't do anything about this.
Yeah, I guess. But with Haggis, it's very different because it's a 2-player game.
Sure, yeah.
So it's very direct, right? I mean, it's not only a 2-player game. You can't, but Haggis' strength
we have played it mostly at 2.
Yeah, is that it's a 2-player game.
We played this at 3.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just... It was very stark, I think, because there is that extra layer of you can spin these cards, you can make them cooler. And you're sitting there the entire round thinking, I wish I could make them cooler.
Yeah, I guess it puts you behind.
Yeah.
Because other players have got those better cards and you're still with your starting cards through no fault of your own. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, so I didn't particularly relish this, but I'm kind of intrigued to explore more. We didn't play that much of it.
How did you feel about the 2 card? So most of the cards have letters like A for ace or Q for queen or whatever, and then Arabic numerals 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But there is one that has, I think it's the Japanese symbol for 2. It's
the Chinese
symbol for 2.
Yeah.
Which is 2 lines.
Yeah.
So, and that is the big 2.
Yeah, it's a reference to big 2. Yeah.
So how did you feel comparatively? How do you feel it worked in this compared to big 2 where it's the same type of thing, where the highest card is not necessarily ace or king or whatever?
Well, it kind of worked differently here because it's... I'm going to come across as ignorant. I forget whether in Teacher there's anything else that it does apart just from being, a fancy symbol for an ace, and when I say fancy, I recognize that, it's of a lineage, right? And it belongs there, and that's fine. And I think this is here in the same way, where it's just referencing that.
Well, in this, there are certain places you can't play it. Right?
Yeah, so right.
I thought that was quite interesting. I can't remember if it's a run or a set that you can't play it in, because it's almost like a wild, but you can't play it if you're doing it as a run or a set. I can't remember which one it was.
I think it's a set.
Set.
Or is it a run? I can't remember. It's one of those where you just can't play it, and I guess that element made me feel like I keep forgetting which one it is during the game and now. And, yeah.
Well, yeah, okay, no, I get that, because I had to have... So, helpfully, the game does come with...
yeah, there's
little cards to tell you what you can play. Like, this is a run, this is a set, this is a ladder, for example. And I did have to keep referencing that. So, I think our game was slower, maybe, than other people may have played, or other people may play it at. Because... as much as I play these games, I still can't get in my head what that necessarily means. And sometimes it is different for each game.
It did feel like a climbing shutting game with a lot to it. There's many ancillary bits. And I don't know how much I enjoyed that, but it must be doing well, because the artwork, I mean, the cards look very fancy. They're quite big, and they have like foiling on them or something like that. Some of it stands out.
Yeah.
So that's nice. And there's already an expansion being made for it, Mandate of Heaven, which is coming out at Essenspiel this year.
I quite like too what the cards gave you. So as well as having the suit, not the suit, the Jack, Queen, King, 2, 3, the number or whatever.
Yeah. The value.
The value, thank you. Yeah, it also, some of them also had a symbol which would let you do something else. So, like, for example, if you played this card that had this symbol, it would let you just get rid of 2 cards when you play this card.
Yeah,
I thought that was quite smart. And because the timing of when you did that was incredibly important. And I undervalued the timing to my detriment.
There's definitely a lot going on in this game. And it's just one of those games where you could get yourself forever lost in trying to explore it. It looked fun. It seemed fun. But again, my impression of it was very tainted by the fact that most of the time I was boxed out of any trick taking, and just sat there and watched everyone play cards to tricks. And I was like, this looks like fun. I hope you're all having fun. I'm not doing anything. Maybe later towards the end of the round, I'll get to play something. Oh, I did. It didn't matter. So, it was fine.
Maybe you just had a bad game.
Maybe I just had a bad game. We'll find out more in maybe a future episode. Who knows?
We also played a game that we've had on our shelf for a long time and haven't got round to playing it, because every time I looked at the box, I went, and didn't want to explore it any further. It is Primates.
It's the monkey game. We've been foreshadowing the monkey game for so long. I don't know why, because the game's not that good.
Well, we didn't know that.
Straight up.
Because we had not played it.
Straight up not good. So I got a copy of this because the publisher got in touch and they were like, hey, look at how many scientific sources we used for this game. We did meticulous research, and I thought, this is really cool. I want to check this out. The publisher did also preface this email with, there's just a bunch of mechanisms in it, like roll and move and stuff like that. But, it's, for learning and stuff. And I'm like, okay, that could be good, right? It was not good. I thoroughly did not enjoy this game. Like, I didn't like it at all.
But it's the evolution of Primates.
Why don't you tell us more about it?
Well, like I said, it's the evolution of Primates. You are playing on a board, which is a tree that has different stops along the way, and you have your set of Primates. So you were playing orangutans, and I was playing lemurs.
Orangutans?
Oh, orangutans, yes.
I've just learned this. So for those of you new, why are you listening, first of all? And second thing, English is not my native language. So I always thought it was orangutan, as in tang, because in my language it is. It's orangutangas, right? So there is the G is not silent. And in English, apparently it's orangutan. There's no...
No, it's fine. You can put it with a G as well.
You can put it with a G as well?
Orangutan. Yeah.
Okay.
That's okay.
But would you pronounce the G?
Yeah.
So why is there no G?
I don't know. Oh, but because it's not an English word, is it?
Right, okay.
Right. So it's just an interpretation of someone else's word.
Right, I see. So it's another case of English people not English people? It's another case of English people not being able to pronounce things correctly.
I'm smiling, but I'm sad inside. That was a low blow, Efka.
Was it?
Yeah.
It just feels like there's a historic precedent for it.
Well, there's a historic precedent for a lot of things for the English.
Okay.
Doesn't...
I'm just saying, it happens a lot.
Yeah, anyway, so you were playing the orangutans. And
Tans?
Sure. And it's apparently a Malay word.
Okay.
Anyway, and I was playing the lemurs, right? So you've completely derailed this. Anyway, you start with three.
That's never happened before.
You start with your three primates, and you're trying to move them up this tree to like evolve them into other, but you're not really.
And how do you move them?
By rolling dice, and you can either move all three of them separately, or you can just roll two dice and just move one of them, so you can move it a lot further. So they are D6s, but they're only 1 to 3. What?
Yeah, but if you there's a gaming twist here. If you see, and this is important, if you roll all 3 dice, and you move all 3 orangutans, you roll 3 dice. But if you only move one of them, you only roll 2 dice. So you're only getting values from 2 dice. So there's a trade-off, you see, that I didn't understand at all. Like there is a trade-off, right? The game has a trade-off. You can choose to only roll 2 dice and move 1 orangutan.
Yeah.
Tang.
Or lemur, or whatever. Yeah.
Or you can roll 3 dice and thus make more movements.
Yeah.
But you have to split them up between all three orangutans.
Your primates.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why does this exist in the game?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
You were mocking the English for not being able to pronounce something, but where did you get orangutan from? You got it from the same place, or orangutangus? You got it from the same place.
Colonialism, yes.
Oh, no. We didn't colonize Lithuania.
No, I guess not.
No. Anyway, are you wearing orange like an orangutan? Nice. Yeah, synergy. Anyway, so you are trying to get them to the top of this tree because that will get you different cards, and that will give you extra kind of powers to use within the game. And that will also give you points. And you are also collecting extinct primates. So you have the extant primates and the extinct primates. You are trying to collect extinct primates too, which will also give you points. So it is quite point salady. There's a lot of different things that you get points for. There is also this little heart track, which I can't remember the proper name of, that you can move up to get points.
It's just a track. You go and get points.
It's literally a track. I don't know what thematically it represents. Mm-hmm. It's something to do with like togetherness or something. I can't remember. I may have made that up, but that's the impression I got. But there are lots of different ways to get points.
Yeah, there's also a skip a turn mechanism where you can actively choose to skip your turn just to get free stuff. Right?
Rest.
Yeah, I did not. I partook in it once, and that was in the very last round where I thought, well, if I just move, I probably can't get as many points if I just like take guaranteed free stuff because I can't reach the tops of the tracks anymore with my dice. So I'll just rest, I guess. It was very anticlimactic. I did not like that at all. And I will note that every time you reach the top of a track moving with your orangutan and your lemur or whatever, you will get a special ability, right? However, annoyingly, what the special abilities are, Like, you get the names of the special abilities, but not the effects. It'll show you the names. So there's a card that says, these are the names of the special abilities you're going to get. And then you get there, then you can look through the deck of the special ability cards and then fish them out and actually see what the special abilities do.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I really didn't like this. They're all use once special abilities. So you don't really feel like you're doing like any kind of a build up as to this roll and move mechanism where you roll dice and move a thing that many spaces. Because it's important how many spaces you can move, because there are certain spots where there's food and the food are in 3 different cubes. And then you can, if you stop on the right spot, you'll pick it up. But also if you stop on these other right spots, you can spend the food to trade it in for big point cards.
For the extinct primates. Yeah.
And so all of that mechanically just felt like a complete dud to me. And I feel very mean for saying all of this. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not enjoying sitting here and, poo-pooing primates. But I didn't like any of that. I didn't have fun with any of that. Having said all of this, the game does offer a lot of factoids. No, I can't say facts. Because a factoid is what?
An often repeated non-fact.
Oh, right, okay. The game does offer a lot of facts.
Correct.
I always, in my brain, think that what a factoid is just a fun fact.
No.
Is this a common thing that people do? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're a stickler here for...
I mean, why bother with words at all?
I mean, sure. Okay, so yeah, the game does offer a lot of interesting facts in terms of, primates. And I didn't feel like those facts taught me anything because they weren't connected to engaging mechanisms. And maybe that's a me problem rather than the game's problem, because I am clearly not the game's target audience. It is maybe meant for schools and whatnot. But I will also add that I think this is over convoluted for people or for children or people who don't play board games, because there are a lot of different mechanisms happening.
Yes. Yeah.
But the mechanisms are not interesting. They don't feel rewarding. They feel misjudged. And so I was not interested to read these facts. And then at the end of it, I felt like there were too many facts. And they were all kind of, oh, did you know that like this type of monkey has a claw?
I was thinking of the grooming claw.
Yeah.
I remembered that one too.
And I'm like, okay, so it has a grooming claw. Moving on to a completely unrelated fact, right? And it didn't feel like it contextualized those facts in any way. So I scarcely remember any of them. The grooming claw was the only one because, I don't know, I find claws, I don't know, there's something, because we have dogs and they have that.
Oh, dew claw.
Dew claw, right? And it's very cute. It's fun to fiddle with. And they just sit there and look at you and go, stop fiddling with my dew claw. So, there is that, but I think that's the only reason I remembered about the claw thing.
Because you related it to something that you already were interested in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know what you mean. When I told you about the game after reading the rules, I said this seems like very much a teaching aid at first and a game afterwards. It absolutely does work mechanically as a game. There's nothing wrong with it. It works perfectly fine.
You can play it, yeah.
Yeah. But I understand what you mean about if it was being played with people that don't often play board games, it might be a little bit convoluted because there are a lot of things that you can do. The cards say a lot of different things, like you can move from not diagonally, orthogonally from one branch to another, or you can move another player's primate from one branch to another. And that's just one example. There's loads and loads of those sort of squiggly rules that, I mean, they are in front of you. So I don't know how hard they would be to kind of get your head around. But there's a lot of things going on if you don't play many board games. What I will say that I liked about it was that the round system, it keeps track of it very nicely, because you flip a card after every turn. So if I have a turn, I flip the card and it will put more food on the board. And then you have a turn, you flip the card.
You need to remember to do that, though. It's an extraneous thing. And as soon as you forget, you mess up the whole thing.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
There's not enough food on the board.
So it's brittle in that regard. I will tell you one thing I did actually really enjoy. It's the artwork.
Oh, the art's great. Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. It's got really nice art. It's got a lot of cool monkeys that I know you appreciated less than I did because of the whole monkey fear thing.
No, I'm fine now. I've recovered.
You've not.
Did I ever tell you that I was at the zoo once, and I don't know if it was a lemur or what it was, something in a tree, right? Something, a climbing type, like monkey with a big tail.
Yeah.
Peed straight at me. Like, there was glass, so I was fine. But it looked at me. And it looked at me, and I was looking at it, all big eyes in wonder, looking at these wonderful animals, and it just straight up peed onto the glass that was directly in front of me.
So it shares many similarities with our dog Sydney, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Who pees indiscriminately at things and or humans or dogs, whatever.
There were a lot of, I think it was, like, so much work was put into getting the animals right. And I really, really appreciate the amount of effort that has gone into that.
I'm not denying this game effort.
And I did quite enjoy the extinct primates, because that's something that I wanted to read about more. When I went to the Natural History Museum, I wanted to get a book on, like, the evolution of primates. And they had nothing. Which was very disappointing. So that was really cool to see.
Yeah, no, I get that. I agree that it's fun to learn about extinct species, because it's that whole bridge thing of like what was before. It's interesting. It's just
who are my family?
I didn't get hooked on any of it, and I'm kind of sad about that.
Me too. The last game of this episode is not about animals. It is about India, specifically Tycoon India, 1981.
Now, I don't know about you, Elaine, right? But I have personally, I don't know if I've ever expressed this before, feelings about capitalism. I don't know if you feel anything about capitalism at all. How do you feel about capitalism, Elaine?
What, as in people wearing hats?
Sure, you can incorporate that part.
No, that's not what I meant, but yes, okay. I just meant like caps. Like,
I meant like, you know how capitalists wear top hats and stuff in the oldie worldy days. Anyway, how do you feel about capitalism?
In a game?
No, just in general. Do you pro, against?
That's a very complicated question.
No, it's not. It's a yes or no question.
That works very well.
No, okay. So you don't. Let's say nay on the capitalism A, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Sorry, capitalism K is what I meant.
Ixnay on the capitalism K.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. So, but what if the capitalism was in India
in 1981?
Well, it's not in 1981. You see, it's in 1960 to 1990. But even though the title says it's in 1981, it's not in 1981. The rulebook specifically states that the game takes place between 1960 and 1990. So I don't know what that title is about.
The designer, I remember reading, said that just seemed like a good...
Needed a number, right? Yeah, needed a good number. Put that number in there. Okay.
Maybe they have some kind of, liking for that year for some reason.
I mean, that's kind of the pitch. It is basically, hey, you know how you have all these colonialist capitalist games? Well, India's been colonized, and this is...
Oh, that was us this time.
Yeah. and so here's the pitch. This is technically a post-colonial game because it is developing a capitalist system in a post-colonial country. So I will not deny that is in a way post-colonial. Right, but also still doing pretty grim things. But whilst the rulebook and the game provided material is pretty neutral on all of it, and maybe sometimes even seems like, hey, look at all these cool things that India's done in that time. The things are not cool. The things are brutal capitalism, like really brutal, like really nasty, shady stuff. And when I say stuff, I meant to say the bleep thing, I meant expletive.
Fluff.
Yeah, fluff. Let's say fluff. Okay. Nasty, shady fluff. But, there's a certain fun in that. And it's the same kind of fun like you have in games like Container or Pipeline or Arkwright or whatnot. In fact, I think out of all the games I listed, this feels closest to Arkwright in how chunky and heavy this game is. I think its promotional materials wanted to place it somewhere adjacent to Brass.
Yeah.
Because they even had like a set of poker chips, like what Brass had, that you could pledge for in the thing. I didn't because I already have the Brass poker chips and way too many of them, so I don't need more. No, I just don't, right? But like that was kind of, I think, the marketing pitch. In play, this is much more Arkwright. This is stodgy and big and convoluted and works in very strange ways. It's hard to wrangle and hard to navigate, but it is nevertheless compelling and exciting. At least it was to me. I don't know about you.
It, yeah.
You loved it? Yeah. Okay.
I really enjoyed this game more than I thought I would. I was looking forward to it, but you're right. It is more like Arkwright than it is Brass, and I think that's to its positive.
Right. Yeah. I remember we covered Arkwright on the very first episode.
Did we really?
Of this podcast. Yeah, we did.
Far in the past.
So if you want to check that out, you can scroll all the way down to the legacy episodes. The very first episode there's an image of Arkwright.
Did I sing all the meeples, so many meeples, and they all go hand in hand Arkwright?
I'd be disappointed if you didn't. So the way this works, and this is quite strange for an economic game, right, is that you basically have two different auctions in this game. And both auctions work
differently,
in different ways and use different currency as well. And so it's quite a different contrast. And you're kind of trying to leverage the benefit value of one auction against the other auction, because one of them will give you like special abilities and you need a special kind of resource to bid on that. But then whatever you bid goes to the first player, right? So whoever's first player in this game, the Tycoon player, will get all the money that was bid for this.
All the supporters.
Yeah, all the supporters. Yeah, get all the supporters that were bid in this auction, but maybe you'll get a special ability. The second auction is a kind of a bid higher auction, but you only get two bids. So whoever is first player gets to determine like what the bid is, right? The starting bid, and there is a minimum because now you're bidding for these like industry cards, and the industry cards is what's going to make you money.
The big bucks.
Yeah, the big bucks, right? So you want to bid for these industry cards because they're going to make you money. But also you don't want to overbid because money is very weirdly tight, but also not tight in this game. I know that doesn't quite make sense, but that's how it feels. Because you can sometimes just spend way too much money that you can't afford to spend, but you kind of tell yourself, I'll just magic it from somewhere. And you do eventually, right? You're writing checks you cannot cash, but it's fine. It'll come out in the wash. And that's a very strange capitalist feeling. And I hope it's deliberate.
It has the similar mechanism to Brass, though, where you can take loans and you must pay back those loans at the end of the game. Otherwise, you're in trouble.
Yeah, but you can also go on this, like, every time you take a loan, you go on the loan track.
Right.
Yeah, and then it, like, if you reach a certain spot, it negates a loan.
Right, you get better loans because the more money the more you've worked with the bank, the more that they are willing to lend you in the future.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's smart. There's a lot of smart things in it that tie in very well to the theme. It is incredibly thematic, I think.
I think so, yeah. More so in playfield than in all the components. The components can sometimes look a little bit like, bland, I will say, and stodgy. In a way where they don't like sometimes they look archaic, like it has the look of Arkwright, but it's set in 1960 to 1990.
It felt very much like the art direction is very much Arkwright or Brass, or it feels like it's set in the mid 1800s, and it's not.
It's not.
It's set in the late-ish 1900s. So that was really weird because you're looking at these cards that have cogs on as the artwork, but then they also have a airliner or whatever, an aeroplane of some kind, and you're like, well, it doesn't work in my brain how this goes together. There were a lot of things I liked about it. I liked that there were the two auctions, but I also liked the way that there were two different ways to win the game, or three really. So there was the influence track, and if you were highest on the influence track at the end of the game, great. But you also had to have the most industry value at the end of the game, great. And if you did both of those, then you won the game. But if you had only done one of those, if someone else had the highest industry value and you had the highest influence, you went to this kind of tiebreaker thing, which
is fame.
Which is
yeah. So. And fame does not have any other function in the game apart from being a tiebreaker, but only that matters only if a single person didn't run away with the game.
But you don't know if that's going to be true or not, so you have to invest in this fame track in some way.
I have to say I found it very. What was very interesting, I found it very hard to gauge just how well I was doing because there were, like, you go on this influence track and you feel like, I think I'm in the lead because you look like there's pips on the track. You can tell who's in the lead and who's not, right? But there are so many different ways you can kind of manipulate that, and you will get also, influence at the end of the game for various things. Mm-hmm. So it was hard to say who was actually highest. Uh-huh. And the other criteria was industry value. And you could also, again, you can sort of estimate because you can ask how much industry value have you got? I've got like 200. How much have you got? I've got 250. Okay, well, I think the person with 250 is winning that. Except, here's another quirky thing. You can buy shares into other players' industry value.
And you should.
Yeah, and you should, right? And you kind of making dibs on who's going to have the most industry value before shares. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then based on that, that's how much the shares are worth, and they add towards the industry value that you have. So you could have a very low initial industry value, meaning you're not contributing to other people's shares. But if you've bought into the right shares from other players and you went up, there's also like the debt track also adds, I think, industry value. And there's also another track that adds industry value. And, those could add up and balloon you past that, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of
debt tracks.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting systems that at first felt very fungible and very wishy-washy.
But they all linked into each other really well.
I was very impressed with this design. Now, having said that, it is quirky and it does take some getting used to, and it does have some ambiguities in places about how a certain particular kind of rule scenario works or doesn't work or whatever. So there is some of that, but actually as a whole, the design felt novel and intricate,
surprisingly,
and compelling and good. Now, much like you could levy the same kind of criticism against this game as Arkwright. It's stodgy. It is just raw capitalism,
Economic simulator.
Yeah. And it takes a while to play. It takes a while to teach and wrap your head around, but it's a good time. I liked it.
Yeah, I don't think that's a detriment. I think you just have to know that this is not going to be a light, quick game. This is going to be the Brasses, the Arkwrights, any of those kinds, because it doesn't pretend to be a fun light game. It knows what it is and it does it really well.
Which is, I guess, why the artwork is like that. I do wish, though, it was less brown. A lot of it was very brown, and I kind of wanted to be maybe a little bit more. I don't know. It didn't feel very representative of anything. It just felt, somewhat generic.
But I
board game economic simulator,
Yeah, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because it's showing you exactly what it's going to be. Don't judge a book by its cover. Yeah, of course you do. Of course you do.
There was a lot of dark borders, and I just wanted it to be, I don't know, I just wanted the art to have a bit more zhuzh, I guess.
Sure, I never ever got confused about what something was, though. Like the iconography, the art never confused me as to what type of card this was or what type of resource this was.
Functional,
it was fine. It was fine. It was completely functional and worked, and I appreciated that. You know what's funny? I didn't remember it being as... I just had a look on BGG at the pictures of it, right? And I didn't remember it being as brown as it is.
It's so brown.
And it's brown and black and copper because of the cogs.
Yeah.
It's very dark. I did not remember. In my head, it's much lighter. And I think that goes to show the experience of it that I had.
I think games that are stodgy like this should have some levity in artwork to undercut it, which is why I think Pipeline doesn't seem as daunting as it actually is, because it's a complex game, but because it's got some color to it, it feels a bit more inviting than...
Yes, that's very true.
And I think it's the same for Container as well. It looks more inviting than it actually is.
And maybe even something like Galactic Cruise.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, that's a different kind of kettle of fish.
Sure, but it's a heavy game, but the artwork is very light-hearted. And I know it's a different type of game, but it's still, I don't know. You're right, maybe. But when we played, I did not have a problem with it. It's only now that you're bringing it up. Maybe.
I think if you're into economic simulators, if you're into games like Food Chain Magnate or Indonesia or Pipeline or Arkwright, this is another one of those. And like one of those, it has a lot of nifty, compelling mechanisms that are fun to explore. I think it's good, and I think you should definitely try it.
Before we go, we have some correspondence. Peter says, "Hello, Elaine and Efka. I remember Efka mentioned the reason behind taking a break from podcast recordings is the burnout he experienced. I would be interested, what do you both think about gaming fatigue, and how did you deal with it?"
My strict policy in questions like that is that I've decided that I'm going to refrain from offering mental health advice because I'm not a mental health professional, right? I appreciate that people write in because they're like, hey, I can relate to this. And I understand that feeling, but I'm just not going to offer mental health advice because it's not my place to do so.
Can I?
Sure. If you want to. I wouldn't recommend it, but go ahead.
Because they ask about board game fatigue specifically, right? And I think I understand what that means, in that you can't bear to play another board game.
But that's like anything, I don't want to watch a movie right now. I watched too many movies lately. That's that.
Go do something else.
Go do something else.
That's my answer.
Yeah.
Go do something else. Go in the garden, feed the birds. That's what I do, because sometimes I'm. Efka's like, "Are you okay? Because you've gone out in the garden again."
It's true. I've done this in the past.
This is the fourth time you've been in the garden.
What you've described is relatable because I've experienced it.
We also have an email from Willie. They wrote in because they wanted to comment about the deluxe sets that we mentioned while we were talking about Railroad tiles is what I meant to say. They sent a very nice comment on how they feel about deluxe components, but I just want to read this bit. So they say, to me, deluxe needs to be relatively proportionate to the game. There are certainly games out there that feel deluxe without having to go through added excess to flaunt it. Take any Oniverse game out there. Most of them have every expansion included in their small square boxes, and each are a small nudge of the rules using some minuscule addition of cards with the added flexibility of mixing and matching. So what I wanted to ask you then, Efka, is how do you feel about kind of that incremental expansion?
Well, yeah, I guess I want to note that there's no deluxe in Railroad Tiles. It's just extra stuff. There's deluxe in board games, stupid nomenclature, denotes that the components have been upgraded somehow. So rather than there's added you play experiences, it means that, hey, you have these cardboard bits, but they're now also wooden. These coins that are cardboard, they're now also metal. That part of it is the deluxe part. So I have to list this out because I'm trying to avoid confusion. I'm not trying to be pedant. So the question to me then is unclear, because are we talking about components or are we talking? I think the question is specifically about having many different expansions and that being part of an added cost rather than the main cost.
So let me read a little bit more of this. So while I myself have been subject to some of these deluxe sets, I've gotten enough of them to know when it's the right amount of deluxe and when it's too gluttonous for its own good. A good example of this would be the deluxe set of Let's Go to Japan, where the deluxe came in the form of 2 expansions, wooden tokens and bowls to hold said tokens for food. This to me is the right amount of deluxe.
Yeah, I think...
So I think they're talking about both almost.
Both,
When there is like an expansion that has extra things, those things are kind of upgraded or there's extra things that go with that.
Yeah, I see. I don't know. I think Railroad Tiles is an odd duck because the way they're clearly doing it is they're using this crowdfunding campaign to then have a retail presence for like effectively what is a little game and a whole product line. So if you want the whole product line, you can pay a lot of money in advance, and thus you're funding, the existence of this product line. And I kind of feel weird about it because it's easy to be lenient when I like the game, and I think I do like the game. I think the game is good, and then it is my job to advocate and say, you really don't need all of this. You don't.
Is that the voice from the beginning?
No, this is a different voice.
This is a completely different voice.
Yeah, this is because that was like kind of sort of
true.
Yeah, and this is like
a man of many voices.
A man of many talents, even one might say. So yeah, you do not need all of that, obviously, and it is my job to advocate to not give into the FOMO and whatever, and I recognize the publishers do it because it wouldn't exist without it, but on the same hand, I do recognize that you definitely don't need to launch a game with 11 expansions and maybe see if the game is a success without the expansions to warrant the expansions, and then have the time to actually develop good expansions rather than have 11 of them and have reviewers figure out which ones are good and which ones are not. This isn't how this should work, obviously. I still like Railroad Tiles, though. It's pretty good, I think. This is ultimately a deeper conversation than we have space for on this podcast, because it requires untangling the entire industry and how it operates right now. And there's many different facets. What kind of publisher are we talking about? Are we talking about publishers who deliberately, create scarcity for products by not making them available post Kickstarter or whatever? Are we talking about publishers who are just using it to fund the product line? Are we talking about, a 200-pound board game or a 500-pound board game? Or are we talking about a 50-pound board game? There's lines. There's a lot of different lines, and in terms of what they offer, and it's hard to say. I don't have any kind of definitive answer. I will say that, I don't think it's good to have 11 expansions. I think it's absurd for a game when it launches. But at the same time, part of the appeal here as well is that you get to try kind of almost like maybe discarded ideas, because, hey, would this idea work in Railroad Tiles? We don't know, but why don't we put it out to the public and they can decide for themselves? And that's almost how it feels like. And there is for someone who's a reviewer and is interested in trying different things, there is a certain appeal to it there.
But that's almost like playtesting then.
It is.
That's not fair to put that on.
Oh, no, you're not. But yeah, there is definitely something, and I'm not saying that that's what's happening here, right? This is just a hypothetical, but there is a certain appeal as a consumer to kind of go, well, actually, I do want to pay money for that kind of experience, as long as that experience is clearly labeled, right?
Okay.
This is not obviously what's happening here, right? I know that it's probably, I'm not going to say that it is. I'm not going to say that it's that, but I know that it's probably a bit of that, right? But does the audience as a whole know that? That's a different question.
Thank you very much for your comments and questions. If you have anything at all to say to us, email me, Elaine at nopunincluded.com. That's ELAINE at nopunincluded.com. Thank you so much for listening. And with that, why don't you say goodbye, Efka?
Goodbye, Efka.
Goodbye, Efka. Factoid. An item of unreliable information that is reported and repeated so often that it becomes accepted as fact.
Just like you.